Welcome back to Cover Your Assets. Merry Christmas to Jason Walgrave, Todd Rooker, and of course, Mr. Craig Nestor, and our special guest today, Jesse Keybort from the law firm of Daniels and Wymore. And really, maybe not the most Christmassy conversation about foreclosure defense today, but it's an important one. 651-204-1700. That's 204-1700. Now, Todd, we of course always get into these extensions of what we were talking about during the break. Please bring us back to this chain of custody situation.
Well, it's an interesting thing because we're a mirrors state, and a lot of the defenses that work around the country may not necessarily work here because of the mirrors. But if you've got credit card debt and someone is offering up, the first thing typically that happens when you have someone pursuing you for debt. Now, remember, this is unsecured debt, not mortgage debt, but you typically will say in your 30 days to dispute the validity of the debt, which is the first thing that you have an opportunity to do before you answer a complaint, which is the actual legal action that begins the process. You will say, show me a chain of custody, meaning everybody who owned this debt along the way, all the multitudes of debt collection agencies who may have purchased it. Now, many times today, they simply collect on behalf of a larger creditor who is the recovery department overseeing it. But if it has been sold, show me a chain of custody and full release from each one of the previous owners before you can actually prove that you even have the right to be pursuing me, because I could pay you off and I still owe these other people because they still think they own the debt as well. And that's something that you can put forth. But as Jesse will tell you, it may not necessarily work here in Minnesota.
Well, Todd, what you explained is exactly how it should work in Minnesota. A mortgage debt, which is a promissory note, the actual debt is the note, the security is the mortgage. That's exactly how it should work. A bank should have to prove up the chain of custody, how they received that note, how they received the right to foreclose and service your debt, your mortgage. What happens in Minnesota is they have this MIRS system, which is the Mortgage Electronic Registry System, and the courts have basically said, well, you don't really have to show chain of title or chain of custody because the MIRS, which is electronic registration, should at least evidence how it transferred. Well, Minnesota has a very specific statute that says every time you transfer a mortgage, it needs to be recorded in the county where the property is. That simply doesn't happen, and which is precisely why a lot of these times when it's transferred from a lender to a servicer to a lender to a servicer or various servicers, it's not recorded. The statute says if that happens, it is void.
In addition to that, every time that it is so-called bought and sold, just like when you buy a car and you have to transfer title and you have to pay taxes, that should be happening every time as well.
Yeah, mortgage companies are getting out of paying taxes for recording. Every time you record a mortgage, you'll see it says taxes paid, and it'll say stamped on it the amount of taxes. There'll be a receipt for those taxes paid. What happens is if you transfer it 12 times in a year or in 2 years, the county, the state is getting, for lack of a better term, screwed out of taxes.
Is that a legal term, Jesse?
It is.
Okay.
It's a term of art.
So yeah, and really, if you think that this hasn't happened to you, I mean, even if you're fine in your house, like I've been in my primary residence now for 13 years, I would love to know how many times my mortgage has changed hands, the person that I pay it to. So think about that, everybody out there, and really let that sink in.
And it may not even just be the servicer, because the servicer may actually hold the loan, but yet there's an investor who's buying it from another investor. So there's even more complexity added to this.
Sure.
You should be able to go to your county and look when you take a registration, when you go to the county recorder, you should be able to pull up how many times your mortgage has been transferred.
Hundreds of years of real estate mortgage law held together this country, state by state, has been overlooked by the mortgage companies. They cut those corners, and it saved them millions of dollars that should have went into our county coffers. It also saved them time and efficiency, and I'm sure in the system. And in the end, when they got caught trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube to turn these stocks back into the loans, they had to create documents, and Jesse calls promissory notes. They had to create these documents in order to have the foreclosure process occur. A promissory note comes from the same family as a $100 bill, folks, and if you copy it and take it to the store, it's against the law. And so that's why there's people in the street. This is kind of a misunderstood movement out there. They've kind of taken the Occupy movement and made it political. It's because there's a lot of laws that have been broken here that have really affected the homeowners that aren't being enforced, and that voice needs to get heard. And Jesse brings that voice for people, man. And we love you. Thanks for being here.
And this is
We love you, man.
This is the leverage, though, that you use with the banks. This is the kind of stuff. And as Jesse was saying on the break, you know, I try to sue them on behalf of the state because this is money that should be there. And obviously, this is all leverage, you know, for a homeowner. Now, does a homeowner have an opportunity to bring this type of leverage to bear on their own? Not a chance. Not a chance. So, you know, and a political issue that is as hot as avoidance of taxes. Yeah, man, that's gonna raise some eyebrows, you know.
Well, people are already incensed with regard to that, and one of the reasons Jesse Keyboard is here today to talk about this is, you know, we're talking the winds of change. There's been change in the legal landscape with regard to what mortgage companies have gotten away with and what you're trying to stop them from continuing, and what's new with loss mitigation in this new economy.
Well, we're seeing a lot of winds of change. You could term it over in Massachusetts. We're getting a lot of good law out of the Supreme Court out of Massachusetts, where they're reviewing how these processes are handled by the mortgage companies and the servicers, and they're saying, wait, we're not just going to rubber stamp this because you've been doing this for 3 decades. We're going to take a look at what you're really doing and apply it to real law, and if you want to transfer a promissory note, which I would equate more similar to a check that you write, which you can endorse over to other people. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't make a copy of that check, like Craig said, and get and collect on it just the same, or cash it at a bank. We're going to take a look at how you do this and see if it actually holds up against our law. So what we're seeing out of Massachusetts is a couple different issues. One, who has standing to bring a foreclosure action? Is it the servicer, or is it the lender, or is it the person who actually holds the note? Because those could easily be 3 different entities at one time. And each one are going to claim a single, all authority and right to go after and collect the debt and foreclose on you. So the courts in Massachusetts are looking at, 1, who has standing. And then they're also looking at, 2, what is the whole point of an original promissory note if you can sue and collect the debt on a copy?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Well, in Minnesota, you don't need the Supreme Court has come out and said you don't need the original promissory note to collect on the debt. A copy's fine.
Well, in Massachusetts, there's been a shift, but isn't that a significant victory for the homeowner, given that Massachusetts is one of those states where other Supreme Courts look at in this type of issue?
Well, what happens is that pundits and attorneys all over the country are going to say, well, Massachusetts has different laws. Their real estate laws are a little bit different than Minnesota, and so the courts aren't going to look at it the same way, which is absolutely true. Massachusetts does have different real estate laws. They do have different statutes than Minnesota. But when you look at a broad stroke of a court in Massachusetts, which is not a small state by any means, saying, wait, you're telling us that it was X, but it's actually Y when we actually examine the documents. This is a broad sweeping change that could have effects all over the country when courts are opening up the evidence of looking at real promissory notes, looking at how it was assigned, who actually has the interest and the right and authority to foreclose and service the debt.
Well, isn't there other states, Jesse, that are stopping the practice altogether where, okay, we get that we can't do much about what's happening backward yet, but going forward, you're going to do it this way here.
Yeah, a lot of states are taking a look at it, and it's usually the states where there's the largest foreclosure per capita: Florida, California, Nevada. The bigger climates, Arizona. Nevada actually made foreclosures a felony if you do it incorrectly. It's not just, oops, my mistake. It's actually a felony now if you do an incorrect foreclosure, if you don't follow the actual law and dot your I's.
When they change laws and they take something and they now make it a felony, to say that it's not going on is now a mistake. To say that we haven't, did some damage to people out there, and we haven't pushed maybe some more aggressive products into people that don't have the capacity to pay in a manner which violated hundreds of years of law. And you can see why this becomes a legal issue very quickly for a family.
Well, when they look at it and they see that there must have been significant harm, and they take it from a legal issue to a criminal issue, that's a pretty profound difference.
Yeah, they're trying to make up for the wrongs that have been done in the past. It's not gone are the times where you see the 6 large CEOs from every lender come up, then testify before Congress, and then have to pay the $150 million, $300 million fine and get out of all criminal charges. When does that happen?
I just can't help but think about going to jail in Nevada. And what are you in for? Premeditated murder. You, foreclosure. Good luck in the yard. I'm just saying. So that's an interesting thing. Do you think that we have a chance here in Minnesota, Jesse, of seeing some of these winds of change and these far more scrutiny on the practices of the banks? Maybe some outrage over the fact that taxes have been avoided in some of the games that the banks play on the secondary market with regard to mortgages. Do you think that we are in for some change here, or is it one case at the time uphill fight for you?
Well, I think that eventually we will see change. We have a very good Supreme Court and appellate court here, and the only difference between our courts here and the other states that I've mentioned is we don't have the drastic number of foreclosures that they do. We don't have the people in as desperate of situations as Arizona, Florida, California. And our Supreme Court is doing the best they can with the laws that are on the books. They're not activist Supreme Courts. They're not. They properly interpret the law. We just need a little bit of change for them to review what's currently been held by them, and we need just that one case to do it. And that will help homeowners significantly if we can get that little bit of change. It doesn't need to be sweeping or drastic, just a little bit.
Well, we always talk about it being a new now here on Cover Your Assets. We've got a new year coming up and a new legislative session. So when we come back here on Cover Your Assets with Jesse Keybort from Daniels and Wymore, and of course the regular crew of Jason Rawlgrave, Craig Nestor, and Todd Rooker, we'll talk about that and so much more. CYA21.com.